I'm extremely late with this one. Well, not stupidly late, but it's like, yeah, I should get this going because I'm starting to run low on time. This is Daybreak II's rating video. I don't think I really need to explain this too much. Final score was plus 79 and plus 60. I am not as enthusiastic about this game as you might think I'd be with a score like that. This is a good game, but I just thought it was really fucking disappointing. And, yeah, part of the whole reason why I'm planning to audit the entire trilogy before the first remake comes out is because of, well, everything. So, it had everything to do with this game. And yes, I am being petty, but I'm also wasting time, so let's just get on with it. Story 22 sessions, no cheats. Let's get this over with. Story positives now. The archive section was actually pretty good. It acts like the backstory sections of old. Only this time it's more of an encyclopedia, and that's honestly good for a refresher. Presentation is where a lot of the positivity for this game came into play, which was honestly part of the problem, honestly. So that's kind of where we're at with this. So that's your heads up on this. You know? Brickwork was a triple positive, sprite work was a triple positive, animations, camera work, all triple positives, as well as doodads and visual storytelling, as well as background lore, Lindblom effect, NPC chatter, and banter. With particular credit going to the Nemeth Island activities, which offer some great stuff. I thought that list was actually going to pause somewhere before that, and so that's why I skipped over the storyboarding, which was 2 positives. So, please forgive me. Active voice was a triple positive. I think I just said that. The dialogue in this game is honestly good, even if some of the story beats are not, but we'll get there. World building was only 1. And it's not mandatory, but at the very least it actually is helpful. And while I admit it does fumble in some regards with the world building, I do actually kind of like that, with once again the side quests picking up most of the slack. Gameplay story integration, once again, triple positive. I like the localization of this game. It's not only good, but it has some interesting casting choices, which I'm sure partially had to do with the Japanese version, admittedly, but there it is. I will admit the external continuity was actually well done this time. I have some issues with it, but we can get into that in the negatives. This is a contentious one for me, and one that if I ever do a soft audit, I may or may not just nuke this one. The internal continuity, when it's good, you know? We'll get to it in the negatives. Now, as much as I hate the use of time travel in this narrative, and I do, I will admit I do like the consistency that only memories and the Genesis devices themselves are the only things traveling through time. Alright, so, credit where it's due. This game was pretty funny for the most part, so I got a triple positive on humor. And then there were certain lines that, much like in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, were just funny enough to warrant positives, which is funny because I've actually run into that already in Monster Hunter Stories 2. This is being recorded on the day the first session of Monster Hunter Stories 2 was streamed, so The first one up was, what do you think the S in 4SPG stands for? Suicide? I have to laugh at that one. And there are lines in earlier Trails games that make me want to audit them now, with Laura's "blood will be shed" from Cold Steel 1 coming to mind immediately. I'm pretty sure he's saying this to Shizuna. This is Van saying that to Shizuna. Then the next one I encountered came from Van. I can't imagine what it's like to babysit a divine blade, Karagane. Trust me, you do not want to know. Love that. Also, application denied. Love that. And then there was one in the finale. Wait, what did he mean by rekindle old flames? Is that some kind of ritual you're doing together? And her fairy, of course, asking in her ignorance. And then Van saying, no, it means we're going to light a fire under Aaron's ass. Literally. Despite everything, Devil May Cry Effect was a full triple positive. The music direction was a triple positive. The voice acting ended up getting 3 positives. The voice direction got a positive, leaving us with 68 presentation positives. This is why I say most of the positivity in this case comes from the presentation. I like how well presented this thing is. It's just a well presented piece of crap, narratively speaking. But it does have some good characters, so let's get into them. Van is a triple positive. Elaine is honestly more interesting. Is actually more interesting than she was in Daybreak 1, and I was praying that Daybreak 2 didn't fuck this up. Spoiler alert, it didn't, as she ended up getting 3. Bermati was as good as ever. Yume, he was as adorable as ever. I liked Paulette. Princess Zeta was actually an interesting addition. I liked her. She ended up getting 2 positives. Agnes ended up getting a triple. Kincaid was awesome. Nadia was actually pretty good. Too bad I can't say the same for her partner, but we'll get to him later. And no, it has nothing to do with Swin's voice actor, by the way, because you know me, I don't pay attention to voice actor controversy. I'm not a moron who tries to use that to actually get a following and fail to do so on a regular basis. I'm not going to name names, but the one who does do that knows who he is. Not that he'll ever watch this, because, why would he actually watch my shit? Anyways. Now, what's funny is I even mentioned Swin and Nadia's positive. Swin was going to be here too, but then Act 3 happened. Harwood, he was an awesome villain throughout. Just as much as he was in Daybreak 1. And he manages to make the time travel tolerable, which is kind of nice. Judith, Nina, and Gotti all got positives. I like them. Katra continues to be awesome. Judith's grandmother was awesome. I loved Dominique. She can be best summed up by calling her the original Grim Cat. First name, don't fuck with. Thank you, SF Debris, for that joke. Look, when I steal a joke, I thank the person I stole it from, okay? Celeste and Leon were actually surprisingly good this time. Celeste kind of was teetering on the edge of being dumped from the positives, but I left it alone. And then Leon literally weirdly stepped up to the plate, so I was like, okay, cool. Toa. 2 positives this time, but that's only because the narrative doesn't really focus on her, and instead literally has her pull a really fucking stupid move, which forces a dead end. And in Act 2. Anyways, I liked Professor Hamilton. Ren was as awesome as ever. I almost feel like I should boost her positives, but if I'm doing that, I'm subtracting some negatives, or subtracting some positives as well. Oh, Walter was cool. Fairy was awesome again. Aaron was just as good as he was here. There, Sal was worth 2 positives. I just love that smug snake with a punchable face. Love it. And he got me. More on that a bit later. Shizuna was awesome. She ended up getting 2 positives. I liked Kuragane. Sherrod and Najee were awesome. Sara and Shihino were awesome this time around. And once again, they're not as well fleshed out here, but they are still awesome and deserve props. Just not separate props, hence why I'm giving them the Estelle and Joshua, the Trails from Zero Estelle and Joshua treatment. Gramhart was awesome as well. Which, is that 40? Yes, 40. That is 40 positives, 2 characters. Still good. Really good stuff. This is actually what I mean when I say the presentation. There are some moment positives here, but honestly, some of them I could easily just eject and be done with it. I'm not going to retroactively do that. I need an excuse to do that. That cough, cough, do I agree with list, cough, cough. But that's years down the pipeline. Are you kidding me? We're still years out from a frickin' sky block from the Lore Runner, for God's sakes. So, I liked the quest, a Pâtissière of Ill Repute. I liked a Prized Possession. That was another nice quest. The Artist was a fascinating quest, as it not only does a little world building, but it's actually one of the best solutions to deal with a big shot. It pays to have a Phantom Thief on your payroll, is all I'm saying. That was the one with the asshole who was going to use the artist girl whose name I'm blanking on for some reason. Was going to abuse her talents. And that just was, ugh. I did like Rosalie getting owned hard and then then Dominique fucking her up in those scenes. That was just gold for me. On a more serious note, Glasgow's death was well handled, and it is an impactful and tragic in all the ways that work. I liked the quest On the Hunt, as it was a great follow-up to Eddie's story from Daybreak II. I will admit the comedy bit with Swin and Nadia commenting at Tryon Tower about what Van and said Elaine would be like to work with, that was good. That was good stuff. Then there's Walter's intro, which is just so him, you know? Easily positive worthy there. I decided to throw the game a bone and give it props for the fake out with Swin and Ren in Act 2B. The school days chapter. That was good. I thought it was going to be another dead end, but nope. Good. This next one might sound weird, but I honestly like that in the second scene of 2A, Act 2A, it is revealed that Aaron's been doing the equivalent of 4 SPGs on the side while he's been away in Lawmport. I actually kind of like that as a bit of characterization. Really cool. Really like that. I like the heart-to-heart between Van and Aaron in the bathhouse. That was wholesome. And is crashed in the best way when Shizuna just shows up out of nowhere. That was hilarious. I could make a different joke about that, but I'm just gonna leave it alone. Then there was Sao getting me. The reveal that Sao is behind the attacks on the Liu family is just wonderful, as it uses misdirection and voice direction to simultaneously foreshadow it without outright saying it until after the eroded cave. Damn you, Sao, you got me. And you really shouldn't have been able to, because I know this smug snake, for God's sakes. And for Adios' sake. Ugh. Then there's the entire confrontation with Sao, which is just gold and shows how large scale his schemes really are, as they have been increasing in intensity since Trails from Zero. So yeah, this ties in beautifully and is a wonderful bow on his character arc. Then there's the Swin and Nadia bonding event. This is when we're on Nemeth Island. I felt it was well done and turned what could have easily have been annoying fake drama into a great character moment for both them and Van. Excuse me. Good stuff. Elaine and Shizuna's bonding event with the race, that was good stuff. Celeste and Leon's bonding event, that was really cool. Ferry and Aaron's bonding event, that was really good. Good insight. Judith and Nina's bonding event, it is funny and a great insight into their characters and friendship. Then there's the Harwood dead end. It is the only dead end that works for me on any level before the final one, and does so on every level. Even the final one's got some issues to it, and I could easily just remove the positives for that one because I feel like, or at the very least shrink the amount of positives for that one because ew. But we'll touch on it a bit more later. Harwood's arrogance, the simple brilliance of its simplicity, and the fact that it feels like Harwood kind of knows about time travel. Now that could just be misdirection and narrative cheating, which it really feels like, honestly. But who knows, you know? Then there's Jin and Elaine figuring out that Harwood is threatening the party from one fight is just awesome, and shows not only that Jin has a brain in his head, but that Elaine actually has faith in Van this time. Good! I gave that 2 positives because honestly I was because again, I was waiting for Elaine to backstab Van and to not trust him like a bitch. Considering she got a triple positive for her character and then a double positive here, you can see where that went. You can tell that didn't happen. Then there's Sheridan Najee's test, which was actually good, so that got a positive. Loved Ren getting closure on Paradise, that was good. I liked the backstory for Catra, that was good stuff. It has echoes of Tio's backstory as well, which is, yeah, that's good. The Paradise Kids cavalry moment near the end when we confront Harwood is interesting because regardless of how you interpret it, it actually does work. Whether that's just Ren getting a second win or if the spirits of the Paradise Kids are actually showing up to help us. It works regardless of which interpretation you take. It's up to you, the viewer, to decide which version of that you want to believe. Then there's my favorite quest in the whole game, the Vanished Migrant Workers. I do feel this is the best quest. It has great callbacks, Toa's just plain awesome, and the reveal that Toa was working with Crow, yes, that Crow, beautiful. Love it. Maybe this is the Toa fanboy in me talking, but fuck it, I don't give a shit. Triple positive for the quest, and positive for the Crow reveal in specific. Don't care. While I don't hate the dead end that led to it, I really do like Eren confronting Sao when he shows up in the condemned sector. That was a good scene. Punching Sao in the face. That was awesome. And then another dead end leads to a great moment between Judith and Dominique as the granddaughter is outclassed beautifully. Although I still say you could cut out all of the Z1 Grand Prix dead ends, both of the Z1 Grand Prix dead ends, and you literally would have nothing, lose nothing of value. Period. It's stupid, it's bullshit, it's dull. Moving on. As my phone distracts me with a notification that says compasses. Compass just went live. Anywho, the Mishi Misadventure is honestly a great little romp, and I actually like it as a cautionary tale of not taking your love for a work too far. I like Van and Leon's heart-to-heart in Act 3. That was really good during Act 3. That was cool. The cavalry moment in Act 3 Route C was also kind of awesome. I could easily just nuke that at one, though, so meh. But again, that's pending any audits we do in the future of this thing. I might actually audit this thing, but if I do, the score's going down because I'm not pulling my punches with this shit. But that'll all be determined by Kai no Kiseki, aka Trails to the Beyond. Or, no, Trails Beyond the Horizon. I keep screwing up the name, because so many of them work, you know? Anyways. Oh god, the dead end song. Ugh. Anyways, the second time the narrative reaches the bombing of the Arkwright Solutions office is another nice fake out. So it's actually fitting that this song came up. Ha! That's funny. Credit where it's due, there's no fake drama with the fake Jin and Kilika. Everybody knows instantaneously they're fakes. There's no, oh, why are you doing this crap? Agnes calling out Cody's hypocrisy is just damn satisfying. Shows her growth and even catches Gramhart off guard for a brief moment. 2 positives there. Thanks for spinning a new wolfism, Walter. A Trails moment. I really should have seen you coming in Act 3. For the record, this is Walter showing up and saving our asses. Which, let's face it, that is so Trails. Because it's awesome. Because of course friends would show up in the nick of time to help. Fuck this dead end bullshit. I'm getting sick of it. It's stupid because you have to use fucking time travel to negate the latter, but in the former, it's literally just, oh hey, now our friends are here to help. Cavalry moments. When you write them well, they're awesome. Then there's Gramhart preventing Cody's suicide after the fight. With him, fake Jin and fake Kilika. That was good. So, the final dead end, I have complicated feelings on it. It ended up being a triple positive and a triple negative. I might reduce this one at some point, barring any kind of audit, but as it stands right now, it's a triple positive, triple negative, because my feelings on it are complicated to say the least. On the one hand, it is beautifully animated and well done, but on the other hand, it feels like it comes right the hell out of nowhere, and is not helped by the fact that the dead ends have way overstayed their welcome at that point. Meaning, and that is why that I would be reducing the positives, not the negatives. Because by that point, it's like, it's just, you would have to chop the number of dead ends in the whole game in half for me to actually feel as impacted by that as possible, you know? I will admit Swin and Nadia's farewell to Ace was a nice scene. The Edith Sweets contest is just gold. Great comedy, great character interactions, and Van just being awesome. Triple positive for that. I also like the optional scene with Graham Hart in the RMS Student Council room in the finale. Works beautifully. Resette's bonding event in the finale is awesome, and a great dive into her character. Catra's bonding event in the finale is beautiful, and Van is an understanding of Catra as I wish cisgender people were to the LGBT community. Like, I wish the queer community was embraced by cisgender people as much as Van embraces Catra. Ugh. But we can't have nice things, apparently. Swin and Naughty's bonding event in the finale really shows their growth. This one I could probably turn away from, but that's iffy. Although I do still like it as because that's the one with their little contest thing. That was cool. Then there's Fairy's bonding event in the finale, which really wonderfully shows her growth. I gave Shizuna's bonding event from the finale 2 positives. My dirty mind notwithstanding, because honestly, my dirty mind notwithstanding ending, it is really good. The expansion of the lore that I really like learning about also helps with that. Then there's the Yume bonding event in the finale, which is just wonderfully wholesome and easily worth the triple positive that I gave it. Speaking of easily earning a triple positive, Agnes's bonding event in the finale is another one that I absolutely love. Despite me having complicated feelings on the romance angle, I do think it's still a wonderful scene regardless. Then there's Elaine's bonding event in the finale, which is just awesome as well. Love that whole wedding thing and just like, Van, where the fuck is the ring, dude? Get a ring on that finger. Damn you. And then there's the only bonding event in the whole game that got 6 positives. Ren's. Where the hell do I even begin with this one? Let's start with the fact that if you have experienced the entire series like I had, this is just amazing. Amazing. Estelle, Joshua, and Tita coming together to help. The fact that we get a mention of Luciola, Blue Blanc, Walter, all of Ouroboros coming together to give Ren this present. Oh, it was beautiful. Oh. Then there's the scene itself is awesome enough to warrant the triple positive. However, Potter Modder's return is just wonderfully heartwarming and is easily the best closure and renewal, ironically enough, of that Ren could ever have received. Triple positive for that. Then there's the Rufus cameo. Enough said. The final farewell to Dingo is honestly nice, even if it is just a clone. That's another one I could take or leave. And the outro got 2 positives. Positives, though. Because even if I do feel it falls apart in the second half, when we actually start getting into the final dungeon and shit, let's face it, all of the stuff at the festival is what's carrying this outro to 2 positives. Sense make? But let's get into the negatives because, oh boy, was there quite a few of them. I mean, 186 X. That means there X. That means we got quite a few. Let's go over them. Inconsistent voice acting. Look, when the series knocks it the fuck off, I will knock it the fuck off. Time travel. You didn't need time travel for this story. I stand behind that 1,000%. You didn't need time travel. I don't care if they've been setting up for time travel. You didn't fucking need it. Piss off. off. This story could have easily been told without it. And again, one simple fix. You can have the time travel there, but have it be my choice to avoid the time travel, so that way it's inconsequential even in terms of a gameplay perspective. Then it's just a game mechanic, not an actual, not a story mechanic. Sense make? Then there's the contrivances of the dead ends. That was a triple negative. Then won the battle, lost the cutscene is all over the place in this game. Triple negative for that. With bad story sequencing that ended up getting 3 negatives. With an extra special fuck off to Act 3 story sequencing in particular, as it's even more all over the place, and the more I think about it, the more, Act 3's story sequencing can go to hell and get a triple negative on its own. Which is also not helped by 99% of the dead ends relying on a heavy dose of cutscene incompetence, since they rely on the characters being dumber than they have been established in this game alone to be, such as with the shard trap in Act 3. Triple negative for that. Then there's the plot, which is way too unfocused and bounces all over the fucking place, bounces around from topic to topic, but not in an anthology way, more like the writers had too many ideas. They're throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Triple negative. Which also leads to some bad pacing and some bad padding. Triple negatives for both of those, especially with the padding is especially egregious because there's way too many times where I feel like I want to yell, "Get on with it!" at the top of my lungs, Then there's the pacing issues exclusive to Act 3, because Act 3 alone is just all over the place in terms of pacing. It's just, oh my god, what the actual fuck were you thinking? Ugh. This may actually be some of the worst pacing I've seen in game, in a story. God. Then there's fake drama, which got a triple negative as well. The writing got a triple negative. So the fake drama, the dead ends in the Garden Master schemes with the corrosion are the height of fake drama in this thing. The issue here is that from a narrative perspective, there is no reason to pull some of the shit that this game does, such as Toa dying, Maxim briefly having his character reverted because of Yume, etc., etc. Hate all that shit. The writing has the problem of feeling like it's all over the place and way too first draft and rushed. This is why you need to why Falcom needs more than a single year to work on this shit, people. Ugh, I hated it. We know why the writing sucks, but at the end of the day, it still sucks. Triple negative. Then there's the empty text. Oh god, the empty text. The worst of it is in the finale, where there is an entire scene where once the party arrives, it is nothing but empty text from that point forward. The rest of the game, the more I think about it, is no better, as it constantly has scenes where information is repeated ad nauseum. So yeah, triple negative there. Then there was a negative for the corrosion plot point, which I might actually, in any kind of audit, might actually up. I'm not going to do it here because, again, I've been away from the game for about a month. But I stand behind giving this a negative, because it was bullshit. I hated how repetitive it got. It might only be in Act 3, but it literally drags Act 3 to a frickin' crawl, and it's bad. Ugh. And then, the more I thought about it, the more I thought about Swin and what he does in this game, the more I really started to hate him. So, this is where 43 presentation negatives. Now we're into the characters. I really started to hate Swin in this game. This game made me hate Swin with a burning passion. It's why some of those positives that involve him and Nadia, have the potential to be nuked out. because I hate Swin in this game. I have never hated Swin more than in this game. Even in Reverie, where he was just kind of slightly annoying, I was like, whatever, fuck. But no, in this game, he sucked. He sucked ass. This. In Acts 1 and 2, he's fine. Great, even. But after the Fragments chapter, his character was fucked over by ill-conceived, unoriginal by trail standards, by an ill-conceived, unoriginal by trail standards plotline that just fucking sucked. We've gone over the Swin and Nadia shit, the shit that Swin and Nadia go through in this game with Estelle and Joshua, and they did it better. This is bull. This is bad. I hated this with a burning passion. Ugh. So yeah, Swin got a triple negative. X pissed me off. He was too much for me, honestly. The more I thought about it, the more he was just irritating, as his voice was like nails on a chalkboard. No disrespect to the actor, because my name isn't Stephen V. But intentionally annoying is still annoying. He's arrogant as fuck, and his power feels overly powerful, you know? Which apparently I misspelled. As he can control his bullet mid-flight, which is just cheap. Then you combine that with the fact that he overstays his welcome, and yeah, double negative. Oh god, Rosalie. Okay, so I've been talking off and on during this rating video about doing audits, right? Well, here's a triple negative that is actually going to affect the audit of Reverie whenever the hell we get to that point, which will be some nebulous time in the future. I am not doing them all in one bundle. That's insanity, okay? I'll slowly just kind of plop them down here and there. Here, you know? Just split it by arcs, because then the most that we only have to do in one block is 2. Well, after the Sky Trilogy block, but you get my point. Because that's going to be a block of like 5, because I'm throwing the remake and Trails Beyond the Horizon in there, but that's beside the point. But anyways, the reason why I bring up Reverie is Rosalie. Because she makes me think I was way too harsh on Gilbert. See, the joke with Gilbert was getting old, but Rosalie is on a whole nother level of awful. She's arrogant, useless to the fucking plot, completely, by the way. Hey, and oh yes, her greatest achievement, namely the deaths of in the Harwood Dead End, and that I mentioned, were triggered by her. Meaning she does have the highest kill count of major named characters. But with Harwood, she never would have. But without. That should say, without Harwood, she never would have managed that. This is my solemn vow that if/when I audit Trails into Reverie, I will be reducing Gilbert's negatives, if not outright nuking them. Combine that with the headache she managed to give me in Fragments alone, and that's a triple negative. Then there's Ashlad, or rather, the narrative's use of Ashlad, which can fuck right off, as it feels like it's all over the place, and not helped by most of that being owed to the fucking corrosion plotline. Ugh. Then there's the Garden Master. Now, I stewed on this waste of Yuri Lowenthal's talents for a while. And at the end of the day, the only benefit to him as a villain is an excuse for Yuri Lowenthal to ham it the fuck up. Otherwise, he is boring, retreads ground with Swin and Nadia that wasn't even original in this series to begin with, and thanks to Estelle and Joshua, That wasn't even original in this series to begin with, thanks to Estelle and Joshua. And worse, he completely overstays his welcome and isn't even the final opponent. This is why I say the plot is unfocused, by the way. Because if the plot was focused, we'd be ending on the Garden Master. Not helped by the fact that the whole prophecy that Professor Epstein was predicting, yeah, that's in Trails to the Beyond. Anyway, yeah, triple negative. He is the worst villain in the whole series. Congrats. That's Garden Master. You are now the worst. And then in the post game, I feel like Jin and Fee are afterthoughts in regards to it. So there's that. So that's it for character negatives. Oh man. And how long have I been going here? Oh man, 41 minutes. Yikes. Good thing Trails Hill soundtracks are long. Anyways, so where did the character negatives start? They started at 44. So 43 presentation negatives, and then we're at then 57. So that's about 13 in character negatives. Not too shabby. Not too bad, but still. So now let's get into the moments that pissed me off, shall we? Ven and Elaine die before we even get the intro. The opening. What? Speaking of that opening, this hurts me so bad. This hurt me so bad to type this. But after reflecting on practically the whole game, and given that the stuff is set up in it, does not extend to the finale, which every Trails game at least has some connection to with this one. Maybe showing that Elaine has grown despite the game not really focusing on that, and with the exception of the Grendel Zolga's existence, which shouldn't count in my opinion, the fact is that this intro actually sucks in hindsight. And while sure, maybe some of it will extend to the final dungeon, which it kind of did, the fact is that the game is that games like Cold Steel 1 did this better. In Cold Steel 1, we thought C was dead, and then he popped back up and set up Cold Steel 2. This long-winded rant is to say that this is the third worst intro in the series for me. Triple negative. Speaking of that opening I mentioned, I also really hate the opening, and my issue is more to do with the timing more than anything. The sequence of events makes the timing of the opening suck, and really feels out of place. Combine that with it just being okay at best, and frankly, yeah, triple negative. Second worst opening in the series, as the only reason I like the opening of Cold Steel 4 still is because of the music. So, yeah. Then there's the dead end where Swin and Nadia die in Act 1B, which is a bullshit fake out. Which also leads to another one, this time with Jin there, which was equally as annoying. I gave each of those a single negative. One of those, I was pretty sure I was going to give those multiples, but then I was like, yeah, let's just shrink that. Probably not going to when I go over it again. We'll see. Then there's the one that I debated pretty much from the point it happened to the end of the game, and here's where I've settled. The Toa dead end can die in a fucking fire. Toa dying because a random terrorist got trigger happy is realistic and fucking annoying, as there was no reason for it, and thanks to time travel, it makes it pointless as it is just undone. Also, it's character assassination for Toa because you don't negotiate with terrorists, and that's probably going to be my sticking point in going forward. She's not stupid enough to negotiate with terrorists. She should know this because she has been even in this very game, she teamed up with spoilers for the Cold Steels, a former terrorist in Crow. Ugh. These examples reek of lacking a scenario director, and it really fucking shows. I'm not necessarily opposed to killing off a character like Toa, but when you do it just fucking cuz, yeah, no, fuck you. And since what it all builds up to is the Garden Master and his bullshit, I reverted back to the original number, because when this first happened, it was a triple negative. Then I pulled back and I was like, meh, maybe not. But the more I thought about it, and the less it worked. And at the end of the day, this is where I'm at. And frankly, in hindsight, I should have been giving this like 6 to 9 negatives. Because that's just how much character assassination and bullshit is on display with this. And no, I am not backing down from that point. Period. Rumors and regrets. Okay, this one is going to take some explanation because this is a personal one for me. Because this quest really rubs me the wrong way. It all boils down to one thing. Ruby Lee's motive. So, she starts working in a brothel and develops a gambling addiction because Aaron never considered ruining their friendship by fucking her. Yeah, no, that level of pettiness reminds me of a friend's ex-girlfriend, and in considering we're talking about someone who screwed me over while trying to screw him over, again, no. I'm not even going to tell you which friend that was, because I don't want you going to him and asking him about it. Because the friend in question, I was a roommate with them. And the girlfriend broke up with him because drama shit with their family that I don't want to get into. And they all thought that they were fucking him over. I was the one that got fucked over. They either didn't know, which makes them morons, or didn't care, which makes them assholes. Moving on. So then the Swin twist. Okay, so this is what happens at the end of the Fragments chapter, and this definitely needed more foreshadowing during the Fragments chapter, because what it got was Jack and shit, and Jack's been out of town for 3 decades now. And since I know where this is going, yeah, it ended up being a triple negative. Then the Ashen Dead End is yet another example of the gang yanking my chain, and for me it just murders the tension. The killing of the tension is why the Ren twist on it worked, because it was me thinking it was going to be a dead end, and then no. But no, the Ashen Dead End was stupid. Speaking of stupid, the second Z1 dead end is narrative cheating and is a plot hole, as that is not how this has ever worked to this point. That one might also increase. Then there's the Arkwright Solutions office bombing dead end, which is the worst one yet in my opinion, if for no other reason Then it makes several hours of game time feel pointless. I had to make this distinction on the stream, so I'm gonna make this distinction here in the rating video. It feels pointless. Not that it is pointless, but it sure as fuck feels like it. And to be honest with you, actually, with the fact that it all culminates in the Garden Master shit, no, it is fucking pointless. Within the narrative of Daybreak II, it is fucking pointless. There was no point other than to lead us into that, which is just, ugh. It comes the hell out of nowhere and makes you have to backtrack to just after we had to deal with Ashen. And then we go forward, and then we have to go all the way back to the beginning of the act. I hated that. Then there's the dead end where airship falls, everybody dies. Do I even need to say more? Also, this one makes us rewind to the end of day 2. Speaking of having to warp back to the beginning of the frickin' act, here's where I gave the triple negative for the final. This is where the final dead end showed up. I already explained it's the same number of positives as it is negatives. Negatives, triple. Have I made my point that I hate Swin in this game yet? If not, here you go, because nope, Swin's ruse does not work for me. Sorry. First of all, the outcome is predictable as fuck. Second of all, Swin backstabbing Nadia is just lame, as it relies on the player not guessing the blatantly fucking obvious, and the fact that the Garden Master is not actually Ace. And finally, it's a pointless deception, as next to nothing is done with it in terms of either Swin or the Garden Master's characters. In fact, upon further reflection, since it was badly set up, badly paced, and was again fucking obvious since Act 2, triple negative. Then there's the Garden Master's grand plan, which is to rewind the clock a century. That's it. That's what the game wasted the 30 hours Act 3 took me for. This is why I say that everything feels fucking pointless. And you know what? In hindsight, I actually do think it's fucking pointless to Daybreak 2. This is why I say that this score is going to plummet in an audit. Whether it's a soft audit in terms of the lore getting to it before I audit this thing and giving me an do I agree with list, or us just actually auditing this sucker and me adding negatives. Because I gotta be honest with you, now that it's one thing for it to feel a certain way when you're going through it, but now that I know everything, I gotta be honest with you, I don't think I was harsh enough on some of this shit. Would it be enough to dip it into net negative territory? Probably not, but it would be certainly a lot fucking lower. Like, we're talking, it's possible for this thing to dip below possibly Sky 3. And that all depends on how hard, good or bad I'm going to do on Sky 3, so shrug, if I'm honest. And I've been at this so long, I literally need to go ahead and start the next thing. That's how long I've been going at this. Anyways, continuing the music. So yeah, triple negative for the Grandmaster's fucking plan. Act 3 in general got a triple negative out of me. It is easily the worst act of the game for me, hands down. Probably the worst chapter of all of Trails, if I'm honest. But I'd have to examine that. You know? I'd have to think about which act I would actually give. It has some epic moments and sets up some nice intrigue for the finale, but at the end of the day, it just fails across the board. It overstays its welcome, it's repetitive as fuck, and fucks over the pacing completely to the point of just making me want the credits to roll and end my torment. Triple negative. Then there's the one I stand alone on. And you know what? I don't care if I stand alone on this because he'll stand behind this point. The party bitching Van out just before the final dungeon was garbage. Fuck that scene. Worst scene in the whole fucking game, no question. I really should have given this more negatives than I did. I gave it 4 for the record. I don't like the party bitching Van out right before the final dungeon when all he was doing was verifying a message from the third sea. If Van had entered the final dungeon without contacting the party, then maybe I could buy it. But nope, everybody treats the fact that the final dungeon just fucking showed up as him backstabbing them. He didn't go into the final dungeon, he didn't try and do so, he wasn't struggling against Harwood. He just was there to investigate, to follow up on a lead. That was it. Maybe he could have went ahead and followed through. Who? Because, yeah, okay, don't think I'm letting Van completely off the hook because, yeah, he's just as guilty for not just telling the party, hey, I'm checking this thing out, I'll be back later. But no, this is the worst example of fake drama because there is nothing here. This game did not fucking earn it. Not helped by the fact that it just shows up out of fucking nowhere. Both the message from the third sea and everything. Also, fuck the character assassination that the game tries to pass off as the party having a point, when no, they fucking don't! That should have been a fucking triple negative as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I hate that. Harwood stirring the pot doesn't have to mean padding, you know? I mean, seriously, if I gave a shit about the twins, his interruption would be cool. But the more I think about it, the more the only reason this bit exists is to reveal that not only are the twins now actually in Ouroboros, but that they have an enforcer number, which, let's be real, could have been revealed in Kai, and things would arguably be better off for it. We literally fight them just so that we can reveal that they're enforcers now. And then there's the dingo reveal. It's kind of dumb the more I think about it. The issue here is that they play it up as it was always the case, and I just feel it would have worked better if there were more hints at it, like it was my issue with Swin. And it doesn't help that he literally says with his dying breath that this game was filler, and as we have not prevented the disaster that Epstein predicted, which even if Kai no Kaseki explains that will be a point in Kai's favor, as in Trails Beyond the Horizon's favor, not this game's. The more I think about it, the lamer and more underwhelming the reveal is. The answer as to why he hid himself as C, it makes sense, but still leaves me with a sense that this script really needed more time to cook. So, yeah, triple negative. And I also gave the ending a triple negative because it really doesn't work for me. I'm sick of the whole humans need each other theme, and this ending it doesn't just cram that down on your throat, but also practically says this story was fucking pointless. Triple negative. Like, it basically made it crystal clear, yeah, this was just a fucking filler, you know? which was also part of my problem with Trails from Zero. But I might actually give Trails from Zero more credit when I audit that thing. Which, by the way, is the second Trails audit we will be doing for the record. Then there's the post-game. The pacing of the story of the post-game is non-existent at best and painfully dull at worst, as there is literally no story between the start of the post-game and the final boss of the post-game. So that was a triple negative. And then, despite the supposed hints to Beyond, this post-game story feels like nothing but padding, which makes it feel like a waste of time before you play Kai. So, one last triple negative to story. Yes, for real, that is the last negative to the story is getting outside of any presentation negs the audit grants. Although, an audit might have something to say about that. 107 negatives, and frankly, I was being too fucking nice. Sorry, Raxor. Gameplay positives now. Which the gameplay score, as I said, ended with a plus 60. This is probably not going to... There's not going to be any plummeting. I'm not predicting any plummeting on the gameplay score, because this is actually damn satisfying on the gameplay axis. I still prefer the feel of the gameplay in the first game and in Reverie, but this was still pretty impressive. Music was a double positive. This game has decent options. I like the dynamic main menu. The dynamic main menu was a triple positive, not unlike Cold Steel 1 and 2. The log is very well done in this one, triple positive. Good save system, cooking is useful. Well, good info in game, triple positive there. Quality of life is all over the place with the ease of menus and the button shortcuts as well as the quest markers. And while I personally don't like it, the notifications from the party members about every treasure chest is nice. Until you hear it 5 million times, but that's beside the point. Right. So triple positive there. Just negative, wow. Dynamic music returning, decent bestiary, good fast travel, the shortcut menu, that was a nice touch. Status effects do not last, the tutorials and the tutorialization are good. The map is worth 2 positives, I like the mini-map. Enemy HP is always available, which is awesome. I like the combat interface, the combat animations were triple positive because of course. The spell effects are nice and punchy. I like the X multipliers, duh. KO'd allies still getting exp, duh. Inactive members in reserve, duh. Full heal on HP, duh. And retry offset, duh. Those are all the duh. I will go ahead and say these positives are the quintet of duh. Then there's core combat, triple positive. Field combat, triple positive. Switching between the two, triple positive. The charge attack, triple positive. Grendel fights are still awesome. The CLM system, triple positive. I stand behind all of that. The shard skills, awesome kit. The S-boost system, yes. Triple positive there. Hollow cores. Just with all the benefits of the master chords, it's split into the previous 2 triple positives. So I gave the Hollow cores a single positive, and then all of the other benefits, such as the shard skills and the S boost, are that. Then there's the arts plugins, which are just awesome. And S break, which is also awesome. So, yeah. 66 general presentation positives. Now here comes the S crafts, which I loved. You know me, I like my flashy special attacks, and if they're flashy and awesome, I'm gonna give them props. Vandalize Raid, Nadia Festival, Lethal Operation. That's Kincaid's, by the way. Grimcat Waltz, Brilliant Halo, that one's there for mostly for its utility. Niflheim, FEMA Midgard, Grand Renade. Grand Renade is especially potent for me. I absolutely loved it, and probably will give it more in the future. Flashy? Check. Powerful? Check. Fitzren's character? Oh, you better fucking believe that's a check. That really should have been more positives. Next time, baby. Phoenix Dance's Ignis Rampage, Radiant Seeker. All awesome. Take the Grendel was a triple positive this time because, yeah, it's pretty much every boss in the Garten, and it was awesome. EX Chain, loved it. Used it constantly. Adore that thing. It's awesome. The difficulty curve was nice and smooth. The power progression curve was a triple positive. Boss design was a triple positive. I like the enemy variety. Triple positive to the itemization. Triple positive to the gameplay story integration. I like charging stations. I like the baths. The baths restoring everything. Fishing was honestly kind of cool. I guess we can nuke that because I don't feel it warrants more than one. I can't believe I missed that. Basketball was cool. The first Grendel, and yeah, so there you go. 101 presentation gameplay positives and presentation and mechanic positives to gameplay. Now for bosses and other stuff. The first Grendel fight, well, not much of a hyper beam moment as it was in the first Daybreak, from Daybreak 1, is still awesome and cathartic. Then there's the intro, which I cap off at the end of the prologue, is awesome at introducing the gameplay concepts, including, sadly, the time travel. Despite my misgivings about said time travel, this intro is still strong enough for a triple. I like the fight against Ix. I like fighting Walter in Act 1B. I like fighting the Garden Master in Act 2B. That was actually pretty cool. Gao Long was fun to fight. The Jin and Elaine fight was fun. Sheridan Nage, that was fun. The optional fight against Shizuna and Kirigane is really good. For me, it's the best fight in the whole game. It's hard and properly so. Both of them fight fair, and despite Shizuna having 189,000 HP and Kurigane having around 60,000, I feel like it doesn't drag on too long. So, triple positive there. Then there's fighting Kazum on Nemeth Island, who is hard but fair. Leon Solis and Ashlad is an interesting fight, as Ashlad is the fair one, and then the other two being being cheap assholes. Dickery isn't enough to sour the fight, though, to be fair. Then there's fighting Ren, Walter, and Lucrezia, which is also another fair fight. I liked fighting Harwood on Nemeth Island. The Grendel fight against Zolga on Nemeth Island was cathartic. Fighting the fake Jin in Kilika is a damn fun fight. That one was the second best fight in the game. Triple positive. Getting Potter Mater as a hollow core was just awesome. Grendel Zolga's Sin was honestly damn fun to fight in both modes. He's actually unique in the fact that he can actually knock you out of command battle and force you to fight on the ground for a set amount of time. That was actually kind of fun. That was cool. The boss rush during the final round against Grendel Zolga is an interesting concept, though admittedly is more novelty than anything. And yeah, okay, that final Azure Sunray was hype as fuck. New Game Plus and Viscerality are both good, and the final fight in the post-game against Metatros Dysoporia is actually pretty fun and epic, despite the fact that narratively this fight is just another unnecessary example of the DG cult's bullshit. Oh well. Some people might argue that this really should be a triple, but I'd settle for a double. $200 in cosmetics, music, holocore voices, and pay-to-win bundles, and a pay-to-win bundle that by itself is approximately $60? Yeah, that's two negatives. Scaling X, once again, is here, and is kind of painful for me, as it makes leveling up kind of non-existent after a bit. I'm still not a fan of the S-Craft nerf, and it's even worse as there seems to be a 1 per S boost rule in effect. Ugh, two negatives there. Audio spam ended up getting a triple negative, and in the honor of Tales of Arise, the fact that Tales of Arise really should have gotten more audio spam negatives. Yeah, the in-battle dialogue audio spam is really bad. And then there's, of course, the characters calling out that there's a treasure chest nearby, even if it's just a dinky small brown one, and that's just no. The Mystic Cube analysis is also kind of annoying after you hear the same phrases over and over and over, since you can only switch to Lapis in the post-game. I stuck with one, so that part needs to be nuked. Then there's the announcer during the Artemis School Festival spouting off on the intercom multiple times and way too often as you read non-voiced conversations. Then there's the stealth sections, which are pretty bad. First, they are annoying to judge at times and can be really biased as well. I admit they aren't god-awful, but they are clunky and irritating. What keeps them from being multiple negatives is that they are short and you are not screwed out of SP unless you skip them, which is an option. Status effect fetish ended up becoming a triple. We all know this. Limited bond points inspug me and me alone. Again, we've been over this. The enemy advantage problem returns, and while it is better this time around, it can still go fuck itself. And while not the worst by a long shot, the camera can be a bit finicky and unruly at times. Then there's the enemy of variety, which is okay for the most part, but gets repetitive by the time you hit post-game. This is mostly a negative for the enemy variety in the post-game. Then there's 7 Hearts, which in my opinion is a terrible minigame, and probably should have been a triple for just how confusing and dumb it was. So, yeah, I hated it. I liked how straightforward Blade was, as we'll talk about some year when we audit the Cold Steels again. But, yeah, no. I was chewing on this one for a while, but the Marhin Garten is not well done at all. At first it seems fine, but then it gets boring and repetitive really fast. This is the epitome of what the lore runner calls Dragon Age 2 syndrome. Namely, fun but shallow gameplay that gets old after a while. So that was a triple negative. While the combat system itself is fine, the flow of the Garten is just not rewarding enough like the Reverie Corridor was to really flesh it out in a substantial way. We'll see what Beyond does with this, but yeah. I also really don't like trying to navigate the Garten, as sometimes it's fine. Excuse me. Sometimes it's fine, but then other times the visual distinction just fucks with me constantly. I didn't like fighting Ghastly Jin. You have to fight him with a specific party, and I really didn't like his ads. Honestly, if it wasn't for the 2 Alderun Fro that are with him in this fight, this negative wouldn't be a thing, but his ads just caused this fight to go straight. It caused this fight to go straight into a full 3 negatives. I worded that weirdly, but whatever. The Demi-Grendel fight at the end of Act 2B can fuck right off. Constant fear and rapid turn nonsense. Triple negative. Fighting Ix and Yordo was going really well until they started literally cheating their balls off. They were getting a fuck ton of turns in just like the worst way possible. And I proved this! I was not using S-Crafts to give them multiple turns. They were just getting multiple turns for no fucking reason. Because they can because their quick ability and all that crap. Fuck that shit. Ugh. Then there's the fact if you defeat one without the other, probably just X, though I'm not sure, the game randomly pulls the plug and says, fuck you, dead end. Ugh, yeah, that was a triple negative because a little fucking warning would be nice, game. Then the devil, that Julius has an obnoxiously high HP and speed. It has obnoxiously high HP and speed, and loves hitting you with status effects. 166 speed is a bit much for a story boss, if you ask me. Just my opinion. Ashlad makes the corrosion fight with him and Celise annoying, with his barriers and constant AoE annoyance. Not that Celise was that much better. Game overing on a forced-to-lose fight with Kazum. Need I say more? Look, game, if you don't want a fucking railroading negative, then don't tease me with new inventory in the shops. Verathrogna and the Cubulon can fuck right off with their status effect fetish. Fetish Fest, that is their fight. The final Harwood fight, I hated it. Harwood is the entire reason for this. He constantly casts Reflect on himself and seemed to get way more turns than he should. Full 3 negatives. Also, fuck the final round against the Grendel Zolga, which can go all the way to hell. Let's start with Zolga himself. He loves status effects and being a cheap asshole, and considering he's out of fucking... considering he comes out of fucking nowhere and slams on... Considering he out of nowhere slams on the fucking brakes, aches for that fucking boss gauntlet, which, to be fair, could have been multiple negatives in and of itself, but I'm gonna be fair and just say wash to all but one of them and give Zolga himself a triple negative. The Demon Melchior and Demon Dante's fight was cheap as fuck, and that's the one I gave a triple negative to. In hindsight, I might give multiple negatives, but to the others, but at the same time, maybe just a single, to try and be fair to it. I didn't like that boss gauntlet. I really didn't. As much as I would love to give this outro a triple negative and be done with it, Grendel Zolga's sin was way too fun to justify it, and as such, I feel the outro on the gameplay axis was only worth 2 negatives. Then we have the post-game negatives. The Death Tulips are annoying as fuck in field combat, and since the enemy advantage problem is still a thing, they can go to hell. I also didn't like fighting the Southern Octo, which was annoying with its high HP and ability to body block you. Then there's the Quartz reward, specifically not upgrading, which is just... Why the fuck do I want a low-level Quartz in the post-game? Yeah, that was a triple negative. Then the post-game pretty much is just padding your playtime with the same Garten shit, with barely anything changing, so that was a triple negative. Then there's Amdo Julius, which can go to hell with his rapid-fire turns and status effect fetish. D-Bestia 2 continues the trend of annoying and cheap post-game bosses. And then, honestly, at the end of the day, this post-game is awful and it's just boring as fuck. Look, earning it one last set of a full 3 negatives. And that's it. Ugh. A fitting song name, if nothing else. But that is it. Oh, an hour and 18 minutes ranting about this. A lot of shit. Ugh. Trails, ladies and gentlemen. God, can you imagine what the frickin' Fire Emblem Three Houses' rating video is gonna be? I'm gonna be curious. I'm actually probably gonna just make a list of how large the documents of every game I review between now and then is, and just go from there. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, this is Daybreak 2. I didn't like Daybreak 2. It's a jalapeno for me. We'll see how it goes next time. But all the same, the next game on the docket, excuse me, the next game on the docket is, of course, Monster Hunter Stories 2. So until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex signing out. Have a good one. See you around. I'll just let the song finish. It's got like 30 seconds left. Okay, now for real, we're done.